Hello everyone, thank you for watching this video. Today we are gonna have a mock interview with Akhil. Akhil is gonna um, be presenting as a candidate and I'll be his technical panel. So Akhil, thank you for joining me today. And so let's get started with the interview procedure. So I'll be um, started asking you questions on the Azure AD, very basic to the advanced level based on requirement. So just to give you some more context about the role, what I'm looking for. So we are looking for the cloud identity engineer who can help us in day-to-day operations, who have understanding about the Azure AD and its capabilities and its native capabilities, right? Also the person who have experience into the on-premise Active Directory and how we can establish the hybrid identity and how do we secure the cloud entity and who can support our day-to-day operations, right? So it's like you will be working from L2 to L3 plus level, right? So we will be asking you questions based on the this role which I just explained to you. Okay, so I just want you to get started with your total experience and out of total experience, how many years of experience you have with the Azure AD? What are the projects you have handled? And what are your roles and responsibilities and day-to-day activities? What kind of issues you faced and how did you resolve it? So just give me a quick summary of these things, so then we'll take it from further from there. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I myself, Akhil, and I'm currently working as an Azure Active Directory engineer. Being an Azure Active Directory engineer, my daily responsibilities are user management and user access management, group management, enabling single sign and multi-factor authentications to the user, and integrating SaaS applications and troubleshooting the user access issues and synchronization issues. My daily activities are like when I log into the ticketing tool, I will be seeing the tickets which are pending, and I will be actioning on those tickets. These tickets will be from like users, and if they are having any access issues, I will be resolving them. And if the management is having giving task to me to assign any particular roles to the users, I will be assigning the roles. I will be enabling SSPR to the users, and I will be assigning roles. And yeah, these are some basic day-to-day activities I do in the organization.
What is your total experience?
I have total of 5.4 years of experience, and into Azure Active Directory, I have 3.6 years of experience. I have worked as a system administrator also, and where I used to handle tickets related to user issues, network issues, system upgrades, and software patch installations, antivirus installations, and endpoint protection installations and upgradations. So on. This is my overall career experience, and I have worked on Active Directory as well.
Okay.
Currently, I'm working on, yeah.
Okay. All right, that's good. Good to know about you. So you had experience with the IT operations in the past, right? So it is more of a server side or just client side, where you help users in issues and troubleshooting the basic connectivities and assigning licenses, troubleshooting any Outlook issues, or what kind of role it was? Is it a server system administrator, as in where you connect with the servers and troubleshoot, or like LAN issues where your employees are not able to connect to any specific file share network drive? So what kind of role it was, your first role?
Yeah, it was like client side, and the users will be having issue. When the user is having a network issue, I'll be going to them and I will be helping them by desk side or via contacting via email or phone. I'll be resolving these network issues to the users, as well as I will be installing patches. As said, I will
Is it
be taking.
like a
Mhm.
desktop support role, right?
Yes, desktop support. Yes.
Hmm. But how did you switch to the Azure? Is it in the same company or different company?
In the same company, I have opportunity to explore myself into different roles. So I had an opportunity to move into Azure system administration. Sorry, Azure only. Then I have learned about the Active Directory, basics of Active Directory. Then I switched into Azure Active Directory within the same organization. Then I moved into other organization with the same Azure Active Directory roles.
Okay, sounds good. So I understood that you worked on Azure AD and you manage the users groups. Basically, um, the user provisioning is what you've done, right?
Mhm.
So how you used to provision the users? Where you used to provision the users in Active Directory or Azure Active Directory? What kind of user it is? Cloud-based or
Uh,
yeah.
These users are on-premises based and cloud-based users, cloud-native users, basically. First of all, if I want to provision the access to Azure Active Directory users, I will be synchronizing them to cloud environment. Then I will be assigning users to the particular application. If the user is created in the cloud network, I will be assigning the user to the application directly.
Okay. So when you say synchronizing, how you, I mean, are you, how big your team is?
Our team is of like 10 to 12 members. We do generally take activities pertaining to the tickets and troubleshooting issues mostly. These agents will be will be resolving agents issues, troubleshooting issues basically in AD
Mhm.
Connect tool.
Are you supporting 24/7?
Yes, there are three shifts working in our organization.
See,
I will.
mhm. Basically, I'm trying to understand your role better, right? What you have
Mhm,
worked. I'm just trying to see whether it's gonna fit my requirement or not. So I
okay.
understood you started your career as a desktop support engineer, and you were interested into the cloud platform. You learned the cloud platform, and you got an opportunity within your organization, and you were a part of the user provisioning team, and again you got to change the company, and you started again working on Azure AD, which is good. So when you say that you will be synchronizing, so I was trying to understand your role, right? Are you a person who can take a decision on the anything, any implementation, or you are L2 engineer or L3 engineer who actually get a ticket and work on the tickets and hand over to the next shift engineer? So was trying to understand your mode of working.
Yes, the tickets are generally assigned by uh, managers and L3 level candidates. Those tickets will be assigned to us. We will be assessing those tickets and we will be working on those tickets basically. We will be selecting users or groups based upon the ticket requirement and we'll be synchronizing them to the cloud environment.
So what is the majority of users you provision? You provision the cloud-based users or on-prem users?
Generally, our organization has Active Directory, so we provision Active Directory users mostly. We do the people who are recently joined into the organization, we will be creating users to the cloud itself, and we will be
Why you need to
provisioning them.
create in the cloud? Why can't they be getting created in the on-premise AD, the new
Uh,
joiners? Is there any reason?
yeah, there is no particular reason as of I know because creating users in cloud environment provides single sign-on and multi-factor authentications directly. Whereas when we create user in the Active Directory, we need to bring them into cloud environment and then we need to enable these options. It will be easy for us to create user in the cloud environment and
It, mhm.
yeah.
Simon, what is your organization strategy? You said you already have a hybrid identity, and you're saying that creating in the cloud is easier than creating an AD. If you have or if you already have a hybrid identity, and then why it is so difficult to create an on-prem AD?
Uh, Synchronization issues we may face, right?
You
To
already
resolve.
have it, right? You already have a hybrid entity.
Mm,
Sync is already happening, right?
yes.
So. That's not the maybe right approach, right? So maybe you
Okay.
will be creating cloud users, maybe specific administrators you will be creating in cloud Azure AD, but only but new joiners creating directly in the cloud may not be a right statement. Maybe just take a look into that, okay?
Okay,
Just
sure.
look at the approach, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
definitely.
So what kind of see? Okay, let me ask you this way, right? You already have a sync from on-prem AD to Azure AD, correct? And
Hmm.
one of the user is complaining that um, he's not able to log into one of the application. It says invalid password when he enter the password. What could be the reason?
Uh, the reason could be whether the user is might be entering incorrect password. The I would like to know whether the user is from Active Directory or the cloud environment.
Yeah, I
If he
just
is from
told you,
Active,
right? I just told you, you need
yeah,
to listen, okay?
yeah.
The user, I mean, you already have on-prem AD to Azure AD, right? User is created
Hmm.
AD and he's trying
Okay.
to, it is synchronized to Azure AD, okay? And when he try to log into the one of the enterprise application which is integrated with the Azure AD and the user having access to that application, when he
Hmm.
enter the when he try to log into the application, it is giving invalid credentials when he enter the password.
There could be a reason where agents are not synchronizing the password. The password has synchronization is not working
What
properly.
agents are you referring?
Um, these agents which synchronize the identity data from Active Directory to Azure Active Directory.
What kind of synchronization method you have it?
Password
What
has
what what tool
synchronization,
what
pass through
tool you are
authentic.
using? What tool you are using to
AD
synchronize?
Connect tool actually.
Azure AD Connect, right? Okay.
Yes.
How do you determine whether password synchronization is enabled or not?
By going into Active Directory, we have an option called Event Viewer, uh, where we can see synchronization logs. It will help us to determine the password has synchronization is enabled or not,
Are
or
you sure? Are
we
you
can.
sure that that log will tell you whether password synchronization is enabled or not?
It will it will help us to understand what are the synchronization errors we are facing
But
basically.
synchronization, there is no error, right? It's synchronizing fine. The user, you
Oh,
Azure AD is able to detect the user is from AD, but only thing is the password is not working. You are in the right direction, Akhil, right? You suspect that password is not synchronizing. So you need to just isolate whether password has sync is enabled or not.
yes,
How do
we
you
can.
isolate that?
Yeah, we can open the AD Connect tool, go to the troubleshooting, and go to the password has synchronization settings.
Okay. Is there any easy way to validate?
Easy way. Generally, we do this in our organization. I would like to know from you if there is any.
Yeah, so there is a PowerShell command. You can go to Azure AD Connect server and there will be one PowerShell command, Azure AD password sync status. Okay, it will say not enabled, right? So no. So which means status no means it's not enabled. Alternatively, you can go back to the Azure portal and Azure AD Connect, right? Um, connect properties, then you will be able to see whether what kind of sign-in method is enabled. Okay, that's one of the easy method. Okay, good.
Yes,
At least you
by
are in the right
using,
direction. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, another
by using
question.
self-diagnostics also we can know, right, what is enabled and what is not enabled in the AD Connect tool.
That is that may not be, but yes, I have not tried that. Okay.
Oh,
So another question I have is, so what is the difference between what are the different sign-in methods you have in Azure AD Connect?
different signing methods.
Yeah, one of them is password hash sync, right?
Yeah, password has synchronization and pass-through authentication.
What else you have?
Yes. Uh, uh, I do know only these two.
What is the difference between these two and which one is better?
Uh, Password has synchronization, deals with the synchronization of password. This pass-through authentication with the help of agents push the identity data from Active Directory to Azure Active Directory. Generally, this pass-through authentication will not be enabled by default. We need to enable it. Password hash synchronization is preferred because it syncs for every 2 minutes.
Are you sure it is 2 minutes? Are you guessing?
Yes,
Are you sure?
no, password hash will be synchronized for every 2 minutes.
Did you read somewhere any documentation?
Uh, when I was in training, it was told to me.
Okay. How do you check what is the sync cycle? Sync
Uh,
interval?
by by going into synchronization service manager, we can check the sync cycle. Full import, delta import. Delta import is performed for every 30 minutes, and full import is performed whenever it is required.
Okay. You can also use PowerShell command. There's a command that can also give you the sync cycles. Okay. So basically the password hash sync, it will synchronize the username and the password. The password will be in an encrypted format. That's why they say hash sync. Okay, password
Yes,
hash. Okay. And with this, what happens is the Azure AD stores the credentials. So when any user is trying to log into any cloud-based application that is integrated with the Azure AD, it doesn't take any help from AD to authenticate or identify the user. Okay, because it stores its credentials, their credentials, so it itself check their credentials and provide the authorization, correct? But when it
yes,
comes to the pass-through authentication, the request is dependent on the on-premise Active Directory. So without on-premise
okay.
Active Directory, the user cannot sign in. Okay, so that is about
Yes,
the pass-through authentication. In case
okay.
if it is a password synchronization, even if your on-premise AD is down, so you don't need
Mm,
to worry because Azure already has the credentials. Okay, if
yes,
if if within if it is a pass-through authentication, if on-premise AD is down, your users cannot sign in to cloud-based applications. Okay,
yeah,
that's the difference between the pass-through authentication, password hash synchronization. Okay, and you have other sign-in methods like federation with the ADFS, federation with the
yes,
ping federate. So depends on the solution what you have, you can use it. All right.
yeah, got it. Thank you. Thanks for the information.
Okay. So what is your Azure AD Connect um, configuration? Are you synchronizing the all the users or a specific OU?
We will be synchronizing the users and groups available in the OU.
Which OU?
Uh,
What is
domain
OU?
level.
What is OU?
It's an organizational level unit. Whenever a domain is created, the organization units also created. All the users and groups will be available in this organizational unit.
Can we create a new OU? Do we have any option?
Yes, yes, we can create an OU.
Okay. So what is the best practice when you are using the Azure AD Connect? Is it good to synchronize all the users in organization or a specific set of users? And if it is specific set of users, how do you synchronize them?
We do synchronize users based on specific requirements actually. If the users from this particular group are to be synchronized, then we synchronize those users.
Mhm. See, I see, Akhil, there is a disconnect here. I think you need to do a
Mhm.
lot of practice in the Azure AD Connect. Okay.
Okay.
And learn a little bit about Active Directory because you're projecting as you as a cloud or identity engineer, right? So as an identity
Mm.
engineer, you should be good with the Active Directory as well, right? So what is Active Directory
Okay.
and what are its functionalities, how we enable it in general, right? Though you don't enable in
Mm.
real time, but you should be aware of it. What are its core functionalities of Active Directory? Okay, and
Sure.
install Azure AD Connect, go through each and every option of Azure AD Connect, explore it,
Mm.
understand it. Okay, because I think whatever the responses what you're giving, it's very generic. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I feel like you did not work on it. Maybe you did not do little research, or maybe you forgot. right?
Mm.
So you need to be up to date on this one, otherwise it will be difficult. Okay, so
Definitely.
Azure AD Connect, you have to go through each and every option, and AD also Active Directory, on-premise Active Directory specifically, go through each and every option, right? Try to understand what is Kerberos authentication. It's not 100% mandatory, but you should be aware of it. Okay,
Okay.
because when you're projecting as an identity engineer, so it's expected that you need to have basics of it. Okay, I know I did not ask you about AD, but I know that if I ask you, you may not be able to answer everything. Okay,
Yeah. Yes.
so
Got it.
what is your understanding about Azure AD, Akhil?
Azure AD.
Yeah, Azure AD, AAD, Azure Active
AD.
Directory. Yeah.
Azure Active Directory helps us to create users in the cloud environment. We can, by creating these users in the cloud environment, we can enable the users to access multiple SaaS-based applications, enable single sign-on multi-factor authentications to the users. To provide a maximum security, we can we can create the user in the cloud environment.
Now, this statement I'm not clear. So when you say to provide the maximum security, we will use the Azure AD. What does it mean?
Uh,
What do you mean? What is the meaning of maximum security?
Uh, we can get the sign-in risks, sign-in logs, and we can get all the logs related to sign-in and audit logs. Also, we by
So
analyzing
question
these
I
logs.
have, right? Question I
uh,
have. If the user is from on-premise ID and the user is synchronized to Azure AD, so can't Azure AD support those users? It won't
yeah, it
provide a
will support.
sign-in risk, user risk, it won't support MFA, it won't support conditional access policies, audit logs. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, actually, the statement which was I about to give is to provide a best possible security. I said it's maximum security.
Yeah, so basically, even the user synchronized from on-premise AD will also get the same capabilities as
Yes,
users on Azure AD, right? So there is not
yes,
much
yes.
major
Yeah.
difference for the user created in AD versus Azure AD, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So maybe the definition also, right? Yeah, I know you're trying to explain how you can utilize this tool. Let's say using this Azure AD tool, you can create users, you can create groups, you can apply the permissions. But what is the core functionality of the Azure AD? It perform the authentication, right, for the cloud-based applications.
Hmm.
So that keyword is not coming out, okay?
Okay, I will look onto
Okay, fine. So what are the different MFA options we have on Azure AD?
MFA options. We have password based, password plus MFA, password plus uh,
Multi-factor
OT.
authentication
Yeah,
strength you're
multi-factor.
talking.
Yes, multi-factor authentication strengths. We have yes, there are multiple ways to enable multi-factor authentication strengths in conditional access. There are passwordless, password based, and seamless. We have these types of strengths in Azure
So
Active
you said you
Directory.
configured MFA SSPR, right? What kind of method? When you say configure MFA, what does it mean? What configuration
Uh,
you've done?
MFA can be configured in multiple ways. By default, Azure Active Directory enforces users to use security default. Security default enables enforces users to create a multi-factor authentication within 14 days. Apart from that, we can enable multi-factor authentications to user MFA. Using per user MFA, we can create multi-factor authentications to the user by conditional access and uh, risky sign-in. These are the four types of MFA methods we can enable to user.
How users can authenticate using MFA?
Uh, users will be having different options. It might be SMS OTP or phone call OTP. users may have email OTP also. Users can use Microsoft Authenticator app as well for logging in.
Okay.
These are some of the options and we can
So
provide to
one of
user.
the user actually, right? So he actually he doesn't work on a daily basis onto your directory. He has another customer where he work on that customer daily basis. So he has to install the another customer MFA, install the authenticator, he did everything. But for this specific directory which you are managing it, right? He lost his he uninstalled that application, and he don't have any MFA capabilities. Let's say he don't even have the SIM card. Maybe let's say his phone is crashed. His phone is not, his device is not working. When he brought a new device, he's trying to access to the Azure AD or cloud-based applications. It is asking him for the providing the multi-factor authentication. It's not letting him to register again. Okay, but his old phone is lost or crashed. So how this user can enter into the application? He don't have MFA device or MFA application with him. How do you
Uh,
support that user?
when this happens, he need to raise a ticket. Basically,
Okay,
once
erase
the
a ticket and you are owning the ticket.
yeah, I'll be assessing the ticket and I will be reconfiguring the MFA settings to him. For let's say he is having authenticator app, I will be assigning password based, sorry, SMS based MFA for him initially. Then once he logs in, so he can configure again Microsoft Authenticator configuration.
Okay, so there is one setting, maybe you have to use that setting, require user to re-register for MFA. Okay,
Okay,
yeah, you have to use that option so that he will be prompted to register again.
okay,
Okay,
yeah.
so you have a security default on Azure AD and you have a conditional access policy. Okay,
Mm.
so do you is it required to disable security default because you already have a conditional access policy which will enforce MFA?
Yes, we need to disable security defaults to enable conditional access policies. By default, the security if the security defaults are enabled, we cannot access policies.
Okay, so what kind of conditional access policies you have created so far?
Sorry, your voice is not audible to me.
What kind of conditional access policies you created so far?
I have created application based, device based, OS based, and based on locations. I have created these conditional access policies.
So what is the process you followed to create this conditional access policies?
We need to go into the Azure Active Directory blade, go to security, click on conditional access policies, and
No, that is
then
I
you get.
understood. I understood, but what process you follow? So,
Hmm.
who gives you the instructions to create a policy? Are you the one who take a decision creating the policies, or somebody will guide you and you do it, or what is the process you followed?
No, it signed to me. I will be working.
I'm sorry,
It
your
will
voice
be.
is not clear. Can you repeat?
Yeah, yeah, my network connection is too bad here. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Basically, these tickets will be assigned to us as a group. We will
Mhm.
be assessing those tickets and we will be
Do you
working.
create any change process? Do you go with any testing phase? That is what I'm trying to understand before, because conditional access policy is very crucial, right? If
Yes.
you somehow apply to the wrong people, or wrong set of groups, right?
Mm.
The impact might be more. So usually, right, we do not enable or on this policy by default, right? So it has to go through some review or go through some
Yes.
testing analysis, right? So that is what I was actually expecting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the Azure B2B, Akil?
Azure B2B enables custom clients and vendors to log in to Azure Active Directory and use the Azure resources. Basically, these identities are managed internally. Let's say you have a vendor, you want to give access to the resources of your organization to those vendor, so those people can work on these resources and be productive. Uh, we will be inviting them via email. They will be registering themselves. Once they are registered, these identities will be managed internally and they can access the resources.
Okay. So one of the user is saying is not able to access the application. So just assume that I am the user. I'm saying I raise a ticket with you and I'm saying I'm not able to access the application. So what are the different steps that you follow and what kind of questions you ask to resolve this problem, to understand the problem
Uh,
and resolve the problem?
I will be assessing the ticket first, and if everything is clear, I will work on it, and I will be calling the client user, and I
I'm
will
your
be
client,
ask.
I'm the user. Okay. You are the
Yes,
support technician or a cloud
yes.
engineer. So I raise a
Hmm.
ticket, unable to access the application. That is a description I've given.
Hmm. I will be understanding whether you will be having an
You can
sign-in
ask
issue
me a
or
question. You can ask me a
yeah.
question.
Okay. What kind of issue you are facing? Basically, is it a sign-in issue or an access issue?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. So when I log into the port browser, I have an option to click on my application. When I click on the application, it says that you cannot sign in.
Okay, I see that you have already logged into the application and you are unable to access the application. Let me check whether you have an access to the applications to access it or not. I will be assessing based upon the user's answer. I will be checking whether the user is having access to the application or
Mhm,
not.
mhm.
Once I see that the user is not having the access to the application, I will be informing him that he is not having an access to the application. He need to contact his manager to get an approval for access.
Okay. Okay, I gave you application name and what error you see in the application.
Um, that user has to say me whether what kind of error he is facing.
I said like it says you cannot sign in, right?
He cannot
It
send.
gave me some a random error message saying AD01 something like that. So
Okay.
what will you do? I mean, you have given I've given you the application name, I've given you my user ID, and I've told you my user experience, what kind of message I'm seeing on the my browser. What will you do the next?
I will see whether there are any policies enforced for that application or not.
How do you see it? There's an application, and you're saying there's a policy. How do you validate?
By going into audit logs, I will be seeing what kind of error message he is
Is it an
having.
audit log? Are you sure it is an audit log?
If there are any issues with the resources, those logs will be registered in audit logs only. If it is a sign-in issue, then it will be registered in sign-in logs.
Hmm. Okay. What information you found in the audit log
Uh,
for this specific issue, right? How do you troubleshoot? So you look at the audit logs, you found error message, right?
hmm,
Or maybe you found in
yes.
a sign-in logs. So it says that the sign-in is not successful?
I will see whether the sign-in is not successful. At what level he is unable to access multi-factor authentication enabled to the application, or
So it
he is
doesn't talk
unable.
about the conditional access policy, it doesn't talk about the MFA, something to do with the SSO, single sign-on.
Okay,
Yeah, invalid URL or no, those kind of details it is show you're seeing. How do you troubleshoot further?
I will go and go into the enterprise application. I will test the connection, whether the connection is successful or not. Once the connection is successful, I will check whether user is able to access those applications or not by logging in.
Hmm. Okay. So do you know any SAML traces or fiddler traces?
No,
Did
actually,
you never worked on SSO troubleshooting, single sign-on issues troubleshooting?
no.
Okay, fine, no problem. So another question what I have. So what is single sign-on on Azure?
Uh, Single sign-on enables to access multiple applications with same set of credentials. Uh, let's say user can access different applications integrated in the Azure portal with same set of credentials.
Okay. So is every application part of Azure AD support single sign-on?
Most of the applications support single sign-on. I did not find any applications as of now which doesn't support single sign-on.
Okay. So how does this, and what kind of authentication protocols it uses?
It uses SAML authentication over 2.0
So
and
what is the difference
OpenID.
between these two or three?
SAML is an authentication protocol which uses identity, which has identity provider. Sorry, SAML is an authentication protocol which has identity details. These identity details are held by identity providers, and these identity details will be sent to service providers for authentications. Once the authentication is successful, user will be able to logging in. OAuth 2.0 is an authorization protocol. It sends access tokens. Once these access tokens are along with the credentials of the user, these access tokens are pushed. Once the access tokens are verified, the user can access the resources. OpenID is built on an authorization protocol. Along with the authorization access token, these authentication identity provider sends the authentication's details. Once the authentication is successful, the user will be accessing the applications. Basically, SAML is the most preferred authentication protocol in Azure Active Directory
Why?
because it is complex and easy to use.
Complex is it and easy to use? I'm not getting it.
Complex in this sense, as part of breaking this SAML authentication is complex, and it is enabled for multiple applications. And this OAuth 2.0 or OpenID is not enabled to all of the applications. SAML is enabled for all the applications.
Okay. So do you know what is a default expiry of any token?
No,
Okay. So,
I believe it's 3 years.
uh, sorry,
Is it 3 years?
no, no, not 3 years. So another question I have, um, what are the other security capabilities Azure AD has?
Can you help me with this?
So we talked about MFA, we talked about conditional access policies, we talked about the risky sign-in, which is basically INT protection, right? User
Yes,
sign-in, right? So there is something called privilege INT management also,
yes,
right?
privileged
PIM role.
identity management.
So what is
Yes.
the importance of this PIM role?
Privileged identity management helps organizations to manage, control, and monitor the privileged resources. Let's say there are some privileged resources. If we want to access those resources, there are certain roles which need to be assigned to the user. These roles can be defined at time level where once the time bound is passed, the user cannot access these resources. Uh, Before assigning roles, these roles will be sent for an approval to an authorized person. Post the authorized person's approval only, these roles can be accessed by the user, and we can enforce multi-factor authentication as well to the user to access these roles in the resource.
Okay. What is I mean, what is the duration you can set for this maximum duration set for the PIM role?
We can set for permanently, we can set for time bound also.
Let's say when user is activating the role, right? How long he can activate that role? Any number of hours?
Default it will be uh, 1 6 months. We can push it to
So basically, when the user is activating his role, he can set for 8 hours
8. Okay.
maximum, right? Okay,
Yeah.
it's fine. Um, okay, I think so far good. What is the app registration?
App registration helps you to register the web applications which are hosted in Active Directory. Directly, you can directly host this app into cloud environment using registrations. If
So
there is
what? Mhm.
any app registered in Active Directory which is running locally, we can use app using app registration. We can register this app in cloud.
What is the difference between the app registration and managed entity?
Managed identity. Managed identities are identities created when a resource is created.
Mhm.
Uh,
Lost your voice,
uh,
Akhil.
Sorry, my network is unstable, I guess.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we are good so far. We have covered most of the aspects of it. So one last thing I have is identity governance part. So
Hmm.
what are the capabilities you see under the identity governance?
Governance, we have entitlement management,
Mhm.
identity protection, and
So
privileged identity management.
you have access reviews, you have the
Yes,
lifecycle
access reviews,
management, right?
lifecycle
So
management. Yeah.
so what are those actually?
Um, I have not worked on those. I need to explore it actually.
Hmm. Okay.
Mm.
All right. That's fine. Is there a way you can customize the Azure AD role?
Sorry, your voice was
Is there a way you can customize the Azure AD role?
customized. Yes, we can customize. Custom roles are available. We can
Okay. Think there's some network issue, okay. But can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay.
Just give me
So
1 minute. Let me check my network completely.
okay. Okay. So what I'm saying, Akhil, overall, right? If
Mhm.
I summarize my feedback, um, so you are okay for L2 role on Azure AD, right? Where you will work under some instruction, under somebody's instruction, right? You
Mm,
cannot do things by alone. Though you know things, how Azure AD works, what are the features, benefits we have, but you cannot work without somebody's assistance, right? That is what I see.
mm,
Most of the topics you know on theory basis, right? Practically or real time, you may not have a exposure. You might not have exposure. That is what I'm feeling, right? But overall, right, it was a very good, right? If I'm having a L2 role in my team and for the Azure AD, I would have taken you, right? Because I like the way you're so confident, right? The way you're explaining, you're confident, you're not distracted, right? So that is what is more required for the support roles, operation support role, right? You are not distracted, you are not worried much. You know what to do, you know how to answer it. Getting it? So it's good. Overall, fine, but you need to go through a lot of practice. You need to go through a lot of reading or understanding the concepts, right? Do research, ask more questions, and you connect with me. I'm happy to guide you further wherever is
yes,
required,
definitely.
right? So I'll give you some more use cases,
Yeah, definitely.
right? You just go ahead and implement it. But it was a very good experience, so far for me. Okay, Akhil.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you
I
very
had
much,
a
Akhil.
lot of learning.
Yeah. So there are many questions I thought of asking based on your resume, but your resume talks more. But I think little bit of confidence required with respect to
Mhm.
some areas,
Okay.
especially on the Azure AD Connect, Active Directory, right? Single sign-on, right? So when you are projecting as a Azure AD, you need to be good with the federation, single sign-on. See, everybody can do, creating user accounts, creating groups, adding enterprise application. This is simple documentation available. If somebody is following, they'll be able to do it. L1 can do it, right? So
Mhm.
when you're projecting yourself as L2 or L2 plus, or in projecting as I'm a Azure AD engineer, or maybe I'm a, security engineer, identity engineer, right?
Mm.
So you should be good with the federations and single sign-on concepts, right? And that is where I think it adds more value for this role. Okay.
Okay.
So, but I also want to give you one feedback. See, do not just stick to the Azure AD, right? So,
Okay.
see, if you want to be stick to Azure AD, maybe there are organizations who hire people who have skills on Azure AD alone. Maybe the team who is looking for the role is security. Azure AD sometimes falls under security, sometimes falls under, there is a separate team called Cloud Identity team or identity team, so they takes care of it. Sometimes it falls under the operation support only, cloud operation support. So it's, do not just stick to the Azure AD. So learn and explore about the Azure subscription, RBAC rules, Azure policies, more of a governance side, right? This falls under the governance, Azure governance.
Mm.
Try to learn in those areas and explore into the Azure infrastructure as well. If you just limit yourself to Azure AD, um, you may not get more opportunities. If you are getting, that's well and good. There are opportunities but not so great, right? People are looking for the
Mm.
and companies are looking for the person who is skilled on Azure, Azure administration, Azure DevOps, Azure architecture, right? So if you just stick to one piece of Azure administrator, may not be sufficient, is what I feel. You need to explore further. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the valuable feedback. I take it.
All right. Thank you, Akil. I'm gonna upload this to our YouTube channel. I'm hoping this will be helpful to others
Okay.
who's preparing for the interviews, or who's learning Azure or Azure AD. But you did a very good job today. I really like your confidence and repeating. Thank you so much for your time. Just continue that learning spirit, Akil. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.